Have you ever looked at your bookshelf, podcast library, or perhaps your saved folder on Instagram and felt a pang of guilt? You've read the pioneers of trauma healing. You've listened to the podcasts on manifestation and psychic development. You have an impressive bookshelf of every esoteric author you've come across. You can practically teach a masterclass on the theory of why you are the way you are and why you feel the way you do. And yet, when life gets loud, you still feel that familiar clench in your chest. Your intuition feels like a distant radio signal fading in and out, and you don't know if you can really trust it. You know you are safe, you know you are powerful, but your body is still acting like it's waiting for the other shoe to drop. And while you can counsel all of your friends on what they should do to find happiness, it eludes you still. I was chatting with a client about this very thing today. She was exhausted from studying her own healing. She told me, I have all the information, but I'm still not having the experience of being healed. If that's you, I want to invite you to put the books down for a second and grab a coffee. We need to talk about why the mind is a wonderful librarian but a terrible leader, and why your body is the only thing that can actually grant you the keys to the kingdom. The information trap. Why insight isn't healing. We live in a culture that is the natural endpoint of colonialism, Victorian-era values, and the fetishization of the scientific method. It worships the analytical mind. We believe that if we can name a problem, categorize it, and analyze it, we have solved the problem. But in the realms of both modern science and ancient wisdom, knowing is only the first, and often least important, step. Verification and experience is the real way learning, growth, and magic occur. Bessel van der Kolk, the author of The Body Keeps the Score, revolutionized our understanding of this when he noted, when the alarm bell of the emotional brain keeps signaling that you are in danger, no amount of insight will silence it. Bessel van der Kolk, this is the critical reality. Your analytical mind can't talk your body out of a state it didn't think its way into. Similarly, Peter Levine, the founder of somatic experiencing, reminds us that trauma does not speak the language of thinking. If you are trying to use information to create transformation, you're essentially trying to use a dictionary to learn how to swim. You might know the definition of buoyancy, but your body is still going to panic when it hits the water, unless it has learned, through trial and error, how to swim. 2. The theosophical perspective. Tuning the vehicles. When we look at the esoteric side of this, specifically the works of C.W. Leadbeater and the theosophical tradition, we find a much deeper explanation for this disconnect. Leadbeater spoke about the various vehicles of human consciousness, the physical, the astral, emotional, and the mental bodies. In the inner life, he points out that we often overdevelop the mental body, filling it with complex thought forms and intellectual structures. The problem? These vehicles must be in harmony for spiritual energy to flow. If your mental body is hyperactive and loud, it creates a static that prevents the higher communication and vibrations of your own spirit from reaching the physical vessel. Your body doesn't open up because you gave it a new thought. It opens up when the mental noise subsides enough for the physical vehicle to feel the underlying vibration of spirit. Rudolf Steiner in The Development of the Will. This brings us to Rudolf Steiner, the founder of anthroposophy. Steiner was adamant that spiritual development wasn't about accumulating facts. He believed that true spiritual knowledge required a fundamental change and evolution in our organs of perception. Steiner argued that modern humans are often top-heavy, living entirely in the head, thinking, while being disconnected from the will, the body. He taught that to truly perceive the spiritual world, we must bring our spiritual consciousness down into the rhythmic system and the limbic system, read nervous system. In other words, you don't learn intuition. You grow the capacity to experience it in your physical presence. If your will is stuck in a pattern of bracing or fear, you are essentially blindfolded to spirit, no matter how many books you've read or how much information you have. 4. The sacred handshake. Body and spirit. Your psychic abilities and your gut feelings aren't functions of your brain. They are the result of a sacred handshake between your body and your spirit. When your body feels unsafe, it enters a state of clench. In this state, the communication lines are cut. As the medical intuitive Caroline Myss famously says, "The soul always knows what to do to heal itself. The challenge is to silence the mind." Caroline Myss teaches that your biography becomes your biology. This means that the stories, fears, and information held in your mind eventually manifest as the literal atmosphere of your body. If that atmosphere is one of constant analysis and figuring it out, there is no room for the spirit to lead. The mind categorizes, understands, and often creates the noise of protection. The body, the vessel that holds the frequency, it must feel a foundation of safety before it can open its doors. The spirit, the intuitive center that is always trying to communicate but requires a quiet,